What do you think of when Halloween comes rolling around? Scary movies? Children knocking at your front door wearing their scary or not so scary costumes? Ghosts, goblins, witches, and other creatures of the night? What do you think of? A lot of parents love to take their children out to celebrate this yearly holiday on October 31st. From Halloween parties to trick-or-treating around the neighborhood. In the back of their minds, though, is always the thought of tainted candy. On Halloween of 1974, that thought became a reality, one in which would change the course of Halloween celebrations for years to come. Welcome back for another episode of True Crimes and Mysteries with Ricochet Rains. In this episode, we'll be discussing the true story of the 1974 Candyman. 1974. The world still turned, the United States was still grappling with the aftermath of the Nixon resignation in August due to a little thing called Watergate. And on October 30th, there was also a rumble in the jungle with two guys duking it out named Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. So, what could have been so different about this Halloween? Let's get into it. On a misty, dreary Halloween night in 1974, Ronald O'Brien, an optician, and his wife, Daneen, 8-year-old son Timothy, and 5-year-old daughter, Elizabeth, visited Jim Bates, his wife, and their children for dinner before venturing out to trick-or-treat with their children. When they finished dinner, O'Brien and his two children joined Bates and his son for a bit of door-to-door trick-or-treating. While trick-or-treating and on their search for some tasty treats, one of the houses the group approached had all its lights off, but the kids banged on the door anyway. However, there wasn't an immediate answer. Either the residents weren't into Halloween, or no one was home. In search of candy, the children ran off to find another house, as Jim Bates followed behind them. Ronald O'Brien fell behind, but caught up less than a minute later. When Ronald finally caught up, he said he had good news. He showed them a handful of 21-inch pixie sticks, 5 to be exact. If you're not aware of what a pixie stick is, it's a sweet and sour powdered candy that comes in a straw-like tube. It turned out someone had been in the house where the lights had been turned off and gave Ronald the candy for the kids. Ronald handed out one pixie stick to each of the children who were there. The fun evening of collecting candy and other sweet treats ended due to the inclement weather, aka it was raining and it was just pure crappy outside. The O'Briens and the Bates families returned to their homes for the evening. After getting home and before bed, Timothy O'Brien and his sister Elizabeth were allowed one treat from the candy they received. Timothy picked his pixie stick tube, but the powdered sugar was somewhat stuck in the straw. The straw was closed at the top with a staple, which made it hard to open. Ronald helped Timothy open the tube, and Timothy poured the powder into his mouth. Timothy looked at his dad, Ronald, and said it tasted weird, somewhat bitter. So Ronald gave his son a glass of Kool-Aid to wash the taste away. About 30 seconds after Ronald left Tim's room, he said he heard Timothy cry to him, "Daddy, Daddy, my stomach hurts." Ronald said he found Timothy in the bathroom convulsing, vomiting, and gasping. He said he tried to help Timothy, taking him into his arms, and then he suddenly went limp. Ronald called for an ambulance. However, Timothy unfortunately died while en route to the hospital, less than an hour after eating the candy. Police were notified of Timothy's death and started an investigation immediately, finding that other children might have been given the same candy. A call to the morgue revealed there was a scent of almonds coming from the boy's mouth, signaling cyanide poisoning. An autopsy conducted by the coroner's office discovered Timothy had consumed enough cyanide to kill at the very least 3 grown men. Tests later found that the top 2 inches of each pixie stick contained cyanide. Police officers managed to recover the remaining pixie sticks from the other children before any of them had a chance to dig in, and said that whoever was responsible had used staples to seal the pixie sticks after tampering with them. Fortunately, that is what saved another boy's life that night. They found the boy sleeping in bed with his hand wrapped around the pixie stick. Fortunately, the boy was not strong enough to undo the staples. The search begins for a child killer. After the death of Timothy O'Brien, police began searching immediately for the person responsible for this horrific crime. The police asked Ronald O'Brien and Jim Bates to retrace their steps and show them the houses they visited while trick-or-treating with their children. Ronald went back to the neighborhood with the police, where he said he received the candy but was unable to initially find the correct house. A couple of days later, police spoke with Ronald again, taking him back to the neighborhood. He was finally able to direct them to the correct house. The police went to the house and found no one was at home. The police officers were able to locate the owner of the home and went to his place of employment, arresting him in front of his co-workers. Mystery solved, right? Whoa, hold on there. Hold on to those reins. After further investigation, the man who was arrested had an alibi for that evening. He had been at work, which was confirmed by his employer's timesheets. His wife and daughter also said they were home that night and had turned off the lights early since they had run out of candy. All right, so mystery not solved. Now, you knew there would be a twist to this story, right? The police became suspicious of Ronald O'Brien after investigating his past and his financial health. They came to find out O'Brien was in debt up to his eyeballs. According to reports, O'Brien had been employed by 21 different companies over a 10-year period and fired from each for negligence or fraudulent behavior. In the fall of 1974, O'Brien was close to being fired again after his employer, Texas State Optical, suspected him of stealing money. It was later discovered that he was more than $100,000 in debt. He had defaulted on several bank loans, and his car was about to be repossessed. With all this on O'Brien's plate, it is thought he had taken out life insurance policies on both of his children prior to Halloween to take care of his money situation. Law enforcement officials also discovered O'Brien had called the insurance companies the morning after his son's death, asking about payout on his son's policy. Something to think about. The police were tirelessly working hard on this case. A warrant was issued for the search of O'Brien's home, where they found scissors or a knife in some stories, with plastic residue or candy residue left on them that matched the pixie sticks. O'Brien was arrested and taken in for questioning. The investigation continues. Police found that O'Brien had gone to a chemical company searching for cyanide. The witness said he could not remember what O'Brien looked like, but he did remember he was wearing either a blue or beige smock like the one O'Brien wore at work as an optician. After being told he would have to buy a minimum of 5 pounds of cyanide, the witness said O'Brien left the store. Several witnesses also said O'Brien had discussed the use of cyanide as a poison. It should be noted, after the years that have gone by, there is information that may be a bit different, but it still points to O'Brien's apparent involvement in the death of his son. The police get their man. After collecting enough evidence, O'Brien was charged with capital murder of his own son and 4 counts of attempted murder for giving the other children the tainted candy. O'Brien and his defense team would enter a non-guilty plea, blaming the tainted candy on a sick individual, an unidentifiable boogeyman, if you will, using Halloween as a cover to harm unsuspecting children. As time went on, the press and other inmates in the Texas Department of Corrections would start calling O'Brien the Candyman. On June 3, 1975, and after only 46 minutes, the jury returned a guilty verdict for all charges against O'Brien. An hour later, the jury unanimously decided O'Brien would be executed for his crime. On March 31, 1984, at 12:48 a.m., nearly a decade later, and after exhausting all appeals, the Candyman was put to death by lethal injection. To his dying day, O'Brien declared his innocence. So what are your thoughts? Do you think they had enough evidence to convict O'Brien? Do you think there was another killer out there? We will leave additional resources below that might help you decide. Typically, we do not give our own thoughts, but we think this was a slam dunk guilty. As a side note, since the death of Timothy O'Brien, there has not been a single case where a child has died after consuming tainted Halloween candy or other treats. That does not mean, though, that parents should stop inspecting treats their children receive on Halloween. Though there have not been any other deaths due to tainted candy, there have been candies and apples that contain glass and razor blades. Be careful out there, y'all. Thanks for watching another episode of True Crimes and Mysteries with Ricochet Reigns. As always, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell button thingy so you don't miss another free episode of True Crimes and Mystery with Ricochet Reigns.